Yo, what's going on, YouTube? And welcome back to Goal Line Hockey. It's your boy, Kevin Forte, and we are taking a look today at the New Jersey Devils, who have officially been eliminated from the 2022 Stanley Cup playoffs. So we'll be going over that today. What's the future of the Devils? What went wrong this season for the Devils? So we're going to go over all of that. So let's start off with what went wrong this season for the New Jersey Devils. Now, a lot of the teams that have already been eliminated or on the verge of being eliminated suffered from the same sort of issues. A lot of injuries. A lot of the injuries you couldn't really control. Losing Miles Wood for practically the entire season. You had Mackenzie Blackwood in and out of the lineup. You had some young guys that you were hoping to see more from. Jack Hughes started the season off extremely well. He's still definitely developing as a player, but he hasn't gotten to that next level yet. Same thing for Nico Hischier. Again, a great captain of the Devils, but you need a little bit more from those top guys. I would argue Ty Smith probably took a step back this season. Definitely didn't take a step forward. I think that hurt the Devils a little bit. And some of their impact guys, like Subban, like Dougie Hamilton, just weren't at the level that they needed to be at. And with all those things combined, it just wasn't. It was a disaster. And like I said, goaltending was a big thing. You lost Jonathan Bernier pretty early on for an injury. He's out for the entire season. Mackenzie Blackwood, like I said, in and out. So now you've relied a lot on your young guy who has been playing most of the season in Utica with the Utica Devils in Nico Dawes, who has done very well in Utica. The Utica Devils are one of, if not the best teams in the American Hockey League. So it's just one of those things that you're kind of seeing where the Devils are just not there yet. And I think it's frustrating as a Devils fan because you're just waiting for this team to get back to the Lou Lamoriello era, right? The Marty Brodeur, Patrick Elias era. And they just haven't gotten back to that. You look at what's happened in the past decade now. They have made the playoffs only once in the past decade, the past 10 years. And that was the 2018 season where, Taylor Hall was the Hart Trophy winner and everything was turning around in Jersey, and soon to find out everything would kind of fall apart after that 2018 season. Now you find yourself where the Devils are at now. I mean, it's been a frustrating look. I mean, you look at that game the other day against the Islanders. It was a lot of Islander fans for a road game in Jersey. That's not something you would have seen 10 years ago. Just little things like that are just, it's not a good look for the organization. And they're having problems selling tickets and everything else that's been kind of combined with this team. It really makes you wonder what is the future of the Devils, because a lot of people talk about teams getting, moved. I don't see the Devils getting moved necessarily, but they're one of those teams that you start to worry about in terms of stability. And right now, yes, Tom Fitzgerald is at the helm, but Ray Shero was there. Obviously Lou Lamoriello before that. It just seems like this team has been in a decline. And now it's been 10 years. I mean, an organization that was very well thought of, kind of losing that steam a little bit here in the past decade. And you can only hope for better things here. And it just shows you how hard it is to rebuild. I mean, you look at some of the guys there, Pavel Zacha, Hughes, Hischier, Damon Severson, Ty Smith, Dawson Mercer. You look at all those young guys, and they're starting to come together. And then you have the young guys that are later round draft picks. A 6th round pick, Yegor Sharangovich, kind of coming out of nowhere, becoming a great hockey player. So there are signs of life for the Devils, and I think that's what's so frustrating is, and then they keep trying to pour money in with Dougie Hamiltons and PK Subans and even Tomas Tatars and players like that, and it just doesn't work. And I think the Devils are trying to figure out what is a good fit for them. When you talk about a guy going to the Devils, is he a fit for what they have? And Lindy Ruff has to answer some tough questions, and this Devils team is a little bit in flux right now, and you're looking for that real stability. And maybe next year they start to get a little bit of puck luck and things just go their way a little bit, maybe less injuries, and they're able to build off that momentum. But as of right now, when you look at the Devils right now, they are dead last in the Metropolitan Division. Mind you, it is an extremely difficult division, so that is something to consider. They have 24 wins, 39 losses, 6 overtime shootout losses. That is 54 points. And like I said, worst in the Metropolitan Division, even more so than the Flyers, who have been just abysmal. And then that just shows you the sharp decline between the Devils and the Flyers and the rest of the Metro. You look at ahead of the Devils, other than the Flyers, the Blue Jackets have 69 points. The Flyers and Devils have 55. That just shows you the gap between the second worst and the third worst team in the Metro. The Metropolitan Division is extremely competitive, extremely difficult. And you're looking right now, I mean, don't look now as an Islander fan. The Islanders are 11 points out of the playoffs right now, and they are still 11 points out of the playoffs from that second wild card, which Washington holds. So that just shows you how competitive things are. And even the teams that are 9th, 10th in the division, it would be almost a miracle for those teams to make the playoffs, let alone the Devils and the Flyers, and specifically the Devils in today's video. But you look at the Devils overall, a minus 45 goal differential, just not good. And that's the kind of stuff that you are hoping to see some improvement. And at the end of the day, I think the biggest problem for the Devils is their defense just isn't good enough. You're going to see some changes this summer, and I think that's something to point out, is the Devils are going to see a lot of change to that blue line. At least I hope, as you know, as a somewhat of a fan of the Devils. They have to fix that defense. I think that's been such a big problem for them. You look at right now, it's Jonas Siegenthaler and Dougie Hamilton as your top pair. Dougie's a good top pairing defenseman. Again, nothing against Jonas Siegenthaler. 2 years ago, he was playing in Hershey with the Hershey Bears. So you're kind of putting too much emphasis on that, and that's your top pair. Then you have Ryan Graves and Damon Severson. That would look like on paper a pretty good second pair, but it hasn't this year. And then your third pair, it's guys that kind of underperform, PK and Ty Smith. So you really, in that mix, you have half your defense that's really tangible in Hamilton, Graves, and Severson, and obviously Smith long term, but he had a down season. He's not ready to be a top pairing defenseman. I think that's what the Devils were hoping for. Either him or Graves would be that guy. It just hasn't worked out, and it makes you wonder, well, what do the Devils do? Do they have prospects that can come up next year as defensemen? So that's the next thing we're going to get to. Obviously, goaltending, Nico Dawes, that's your future. As it probably looks like they'll trade Mackenzie Blackwood. But looking at defense, they have Mason Geertsen, Colton White. Looking at in the Utica Comets, you have Riley Walsh, Mikhail Vukovic, Kevin Ball. You have some guys there, but nothing really stand out like when Ty Smith was a prospect. Nothing really like that. The offense is a lot different. The offense has a lot more promise. And I think that's something that the Devils are kind of going to stick with at this point. I don't think you're going to see them change much there. You have Sharon Govich, Mercer playing with Hughes. Jesper Bratt's pretty good. Yanni Kuokkanen's pretty good. Looking at some of the guys they have depth here, I'm just trying to take a look. Yanni Kuokkanen. Miles Wood has still been out most of the year. He's day-to-day. Michael McLeod, you're hoping to see more from him. Just some little things here and there that the Devils just didn't necessarily hit the mark. And unfortunately, they're kind of still in a rebuild. And that's kind of where they're at. And unfortunately, with great success that they had in the late 90s, early 2000s, and even in the mid-2000s, they went, what was that, in 2011, 2012, they went to the Stanley Cup final. And they played the LA Kings. I mean, unfortunately, there is a price to be paid for that. And you're seeing that right now in Chicago. You're seeing that in San Jose. You're seeing that even in LA to some extent, right? So those teams are going to go through hard times. The question is, how long does that rebuild last? You see some teams, the rebuild lasts maybe 5 years, if you're lucky. If you want to do a retool just to get the team through, maybe a 3-year rebuild, 2-year rebuild. But at the end of the day, there's always a price that has to be paid either on the front end or the back end. And unfortunately, right now, the Devils are paying for it on the back end of what was a lot of success. So, again, hopefully soon the Devils will get back. Keeping an eye here on our elimination and to the dance chart. Going to the dance right now. The Florida Panthers are the only team, and that video will be coming out. You guys already know that. Teams that are going golfing this summer, we have the Montreal Canadiens, the Arizona Coyotes, the Philadelphia Flyers, the Seattle Kraken, and, of course, the New Jersey Devils. Guys, that is it for today's video. Thank you so much for watching, and I will see you again next time.